money, right? So Bitcoin is deflationary. People lose it here and there, so it doesn't increase. It slowly decreases over time. And then and then like early this year in March or in April, people says, why did Bitcoin drop together with traditional fiat instruments, stocks? So my thoughts on this industry is actually quite simple. I think basically the industry has to grow for businesses in this industry to grow. But I'm very confident that the industry will grow. I think we're seeing before when we talk about institutional participation, we're talking about institutional traders potentially like allocating some funds, trading Bitcoin or something. But now we're seeing institutional treasury come in. And I heard different versions of this rally, and they were saying that there are just a few institutions allocating 1% of their treasury into Bitcoin, and that's causing this rally already. So just imagine like how much more demand there is once more of the treasury managers figure out that this is what they need to do. So from my perspective, I think this year, yeah, it has been pretty bad in almost every other instance, but it has been good for the crypto industry. That is really showing that the fundamentals of Bitcoin, fundamentals of cryptocurrencies, that it is limited supply, there's no inflation, it is a hedge against all these other macroeconomic changes. And I think for our goal is really just to keep our service up while this industry is rallying. So we got to be able to handle the number of new users coming. We got to handle like peak traffic, peak volumes. Got to do our KYC, AML. All of those things most of those things don't scale very well because there's sometimes human components to them. So we're just trying to find out better ways to be able to service institutional participation as we define it now. Like treasuries come in, they will want to do due diligence on us, and how to service potentially Saylor, MicroStrategy, firms like this. So this is going to be our challenge going forward. I'm not worried about the industry. I'm very worried about the economy overall. But the crypto economy, the crypto industry will be very good. So I think Michael's really joining early, and in his own words, kind of front running the other late adopters. So I think that's a really smart strategy to adopt. Yeah, I think Michael said something that's really, really interesting there. I think what Michael described there is partially what Binance Card does today, which allows you to spend crypto directly from your crypto savings account, and it actually works with Google Pay and Apple Pay, but not in all locations now. So we will definitely absolutely work on to increase the coverage of that. But there's something else that, Michael, you mentioned that's really interesting. I want to pick your brain a little bit, which is you mentioned pension funds and sovereign funds, right? So now we have individuals investing in crypto, public companies now investing in crypto. When do you think the pension funds and sovereign funds are gonna jump in, and what process is gonna require them to come into to this? Because eventually they will have to abandon ship and hold some Bitcoin, right? Oh yeah, I mean, my view is definitely reinforced. So yeah, I think basically I've come to this view a couple of years ago, and then what's happening in 2020 is just eyes opening. Like I didn't think it would happen this fast, but having COVID, having the pandemic, economic shutdowns, and then government printing money like crazy really demonstrated that this concept of some money, right? So Bitcoin is deflationary. People lose it here and there, so it doesn't increase. It slowly decreases over time. And then like early this year in March or in April, people says, why did Bitcoin drop together with traditional fiat instruments, stocks? And people are questioning, is it a store of value or not? But now look, it's very clear, right? It is a very good store of value. And so I think, I think what's really interesting is Michael does have the long-term vision, the long-term mindset, whereas people who are trading actively, they have a very short mindset. And when you look at things on a shorter horizon, yes, it is volatile, maybe less volatile than Tesla or even Apple, but it is still very relatively volatile in the on the short time frames. But when you look at a longer time frame, Bitcoin has just jumped like a few times in history, and I think will continue to jump in the long run. So yeah, all of my views are super strongly reinforced this year. So I don't have any fiat, so I couldn't buy Bitcoin. I couldn't buy more cryptocurrency. So my assets are already all crypto. But yeah, I'm not.
Brilliant.
I don't even think about selling in terms of selling it anymore. It's just it's an asset I hold. It's an asset I spend when I need to spend it. I swipe my Binance card or whatever, and I'm this is the asset I hold. I'm using it to buy stuff. I'm not selling this stuff into fiat. Like, why would I do that?
Right.
So so that's kind of my view. I think which is very much in line with what Michael tweeted a few days ago.
Gotcha.
I think he tweeted that don't you have to buy everything into Bitcoin. You only want to buy with the money that you want to keep. So that was very good tweet. No, I hold like a couple $1,000 ish. So basically just there are parts of our lives which we still have to spend fiat. Sure. I only convert when I have to spend. So I don't hold any meaningful amount at all. I first heard about it in July 2013, and by October was the first time I bought Bitcoin, and by December I knew I was all in. I was selling my house, quitting my job, or for Bitcoin. So 2013 was end of 2013 was the time for me.
Bitcoin.
No, I sold my house into fiat, which took me 6 months, and I saw the price going up and down. So I was very anxious, not so much terrified. I was just very anxious to get it done as soon as possible. And then it was actually really after I bought in, I was a little bit terrified because the price dropped very quickly. So and it stayed there for about 2 years. So I bought in around 600, dropped to like 200, stayed there for quite a while, for like a year and a half. So it was a little bit mentally stressful, but my lifestyle didn't get impacted that much. I live a pretty simple lifestyle even today. So so that wasn't. It was a little bit mentally stressful, but wasn't that bad. Yeah. So Michael, I remember like the 1 year in, like half a year, 1 year in for me was also my most vocal. People think I'm vocal now, but I was much more vocal back then, like promoting Bitcoin. I really loved that. But I think Michael also has a personality where once he understood Bitcoin, once he got into it, he wrapped his head around it very tightly, and he's pushing really, really hard. I remember that stage for me as well. I still do it today, but not as aggressively. But yeah, those are very fun times. I admire a lot of people actually. I just read Michael Saylor's book on the mobile wave. And when I was reading that, so I was just reading this a couple of days ago, I was like, wow, that's, that reads more like a documentary now. But at the time it was written, none of the things in the book actually happened. So I think so. So I do listen quite a lot these days for books. So I respect a lot of the authors, a lot of the entrepreneurs. I think Elon Musk's probably somebody I really admire as well. He's like he has true audacity and hardcore push. So there are other guys. There's a lot of guys. So I don't really have a